The British Universities Kayaking Expedition has taken place every 2 years since 2005. After a weekend of paddling, safety and training in North Wales, a team of 6 students are selected for a self-planned expedition to a previously unpaddled location. The 2024 team decided on Guatemala in Central America. However, our journey would start to the southeast in El Salvador, with Matt and Alistair travelling out a week ahead to procure transport and sort out logistics.
Hi, I'm Alistair. I've just graduated from the University of Edinburgh reading mechanical engineering, and I'm really looking forward to getting to explore some areas of this country that most never get to see.
What's up? I'm Matt Purvis, second year computer science student from Cardiff University. I've been featuring on land for almost 20 years and featuring on water for almost as long.
Once the rest of the team had arrived, we headed to the beach for our warm-up.
This is my intro. I'm Oshan Kirig. I go to Glasgow University and I study psychology with neuroscience.
Hello everyone, my name's Patrick and I'm a third year archaeology and geography student at the University of Glasgow.
My name's Bryony Agar and I'm studying zoology in the University of Edinburgh.
Hi, my name's Ollie Cooper. I'm 18 years old. I'm a first year physics student at the University of Nottingham. I've been paddling for about 10 years now, mostly doing slalom, but realised whitewater kayaking is way more fun.
And speaking of whitewater, it was time to head across the border.
So last night we drove to the border in El Salvador. It was about 10 o'clock and it was pouring it down with rain. We drove in on the back of the pickup, about a metre away from the border. We all jumped pads and we walked across the El Salvadorian side. That went all quite smoothly. After a few hours of the Guatemalan highway, where we saw a few crossed lorries on the side of the road, a few broken trees, we rocked up in Antigua at 2 o'clock in the morning. Had a few hours sleep, woke up at 7, and we're off again into the Guatemalan highlands.
At this point, I should introduce Jaime, Victor and Elena, who travelled down from Mexico with their pickup, providing transport, cooking, questionable music and excellent company. Now, onto our first river.
45-minute walk-in. We got lost a few times. The locals helped us out. It took us an hour and a half. We made it. And to say this river's low, I think it's a bit of an understatement. We're gorge walking currently, so let's see how it goes.
Our first river complete, we set off towards Antigua, a small city in southern Guatemala. Antigua was to be our base camp, in between two pushes north. It was also the home of Greg, the authority on paddling in Guatemala, without whom the expedition could not have happened.
I used to be just your regular engineer in Silicon Valley in California, and I went on a rafting trip and saw the kayakers having more fun than us, so I decided to give it a shot, and I was hooked right away. From the very beginning, I knew I was onto something pretty neat here. A lot of rivers that were undiscovered. It was a great opportunity for me to explore, work on my skills, and also just discover new things, which is what I really, really love to do. Previous expeditions to Guatemala, there have not been very many. I think the BUKE trip is probably the most organized and the longest trip to Guatemala that I know about. And as far as real exploring in Guatemala, BUKE is probably the first one. It's probably the first one to seriously want to explore and discover new rivers and, you know, push the edge a little bit, push the envelope a little bit.
To our relief, after the low water experience on the Vieja, the rain soon came in. We had 3 first descents in mind, the Selegua, Valparaiso, and Upper Azul, and after consulting with Greg, we set off towards Tenango in the northwest. Someone do a take test.
Jump the mountains again.
Oh, good night.
So it's currently 6:30 in the morning. We're at the Selegua 2 Gorge, meant to be the last undescended section of the Selegua. Now, we've come to scout it, and it doesn't go. It is a choss fest. We tried to put the drone up, and it decided to crash itself into a mountain, so...
Despite the Selegua being a no-go, we had a backup river, the Valparaiso, which was only a short drive away.
So yesterday we paddled the upper Azul. Today is our first multi-day of the trip. We're doing the 11-kilometer unrun section above that. It should be a lot of fun. I think the whole team's looking forward to it.
We tried to run the Rio Azul today, the upper section. It would have been a 12-kilometer first ascent if it had gone to plan. So we started all the way over there and paddled down about 1.5 kilometers of really nice full drop rapids. And then suddenly one of the rapids was full of trees. So we portaged, and another portage after that, and another one. And then another portage full, where all the rapids were full of rocks after a landslide. So after that, after about 1 kilometer of portaging, we chose to turn back round. And so now we have about 3 kilometers to go back up through the jungle.
After several days of paddling, we headed back towards Tenango to refuel, pick up supplies, and plan our next river, the Catarina. We got a puncture, and we failed to boof a pothole properly. We've got a spare tyre, but no jack. So it's currently midnight, and that spare tyre that we'd got fixed onto the truck, that has now also burst. We hit another pothole, and now we are stranded again. Gonna have to sleep in the back of the pickup now and wait till morning for some shops to open. And now my phone can't make out Ollie, but he is sitting in the back, I promise.
I want some biscuits.
He does, he wants some biscuits.
Get this man some chickies.
Luckily, we broke down only a few hundred meters from a mechanic, and after a night in the pickup, we got fixed up and set off again.
¿Puedo probar uno?
More than a minute.
Nah.
Oscar's maps.
My hero.
Yeah, you will hate me, but we love you.
¿Qué nombre preguntamos?
¿Ah?
Pares.
Ollie, how's your birthday been so far?
Oh, it's been fantastic. You've spent 4 hours in the car so far. We're lost.
The woman says the track's down that way.
We've got a donkey!
You got your water purification.
We're about to run the Rio Catarina, and we've had a very long walking, about 900 meters down to here. It took us however long, and it's the Rio Catarina now is going to be a 2 to 4 day, multi-day, depends on our progress. But at the moment we're right deep in the canyon, and there's not much turning back now.
It tended to rain quite heavily in the evenings, so to avoid flash floods, we were often off the water by 4. By this point, we had reached a grade 5, which required additional scouting, and decided to make camp in the forest besides the river.
Got the tarp up between these two trees in this nice little glen. Under here, nice spacious roomy. We've got the hammock. Also got a tree, you know, nice indoor plants. Held down by lines over there. And then over here, we've got a bit of nature's paracord because I ran out of lines. I've since remembered that I do have more paracord in my boat that seems to work, so we go with it.
So Ollie, we know it's your birthday, and even though we are on a motorcade, we can't really get a cake to eat. So we've got some good Bryn Mawr flapjack here for you, and a candle. Oh. So if we sing you happy birthday, then you'll have to blow it out.
Happy birthday to you.
Hip hip.
Hooray!
Oh no!
Hooray!
Hip hip.
Hooray!
Blow it up.
Woo! Cheers, guys.
Last night on the InReach GPS we got news that there's going to be a big storm coming in at 2 o'clock. We were originally intending on running the Grade 5 Gorge down here, but a lot of the corners are blind, so we need to do a lot more scouting today if we were to run it. So because we're tight on time, we're now going to have to portage the Gorge. It's going to take about a kilometre and a half, do you think? And then jump on the Grade 4, supposedly Grade 4 on the other side. So we are 2 days into the Rio Catarina and we've reached the gorge. There's this rapid here. It doesn't pick it up very well on the camera, but it's at least 10-meter drop into a siphon, completely boxed in.
Supposedly, it's only a 1 kilometre portage around the gorge, but we've got a storm coming in, and it's looking like, according to the Garmin InReach, it's actually 1.6 miles away, and there is no clear path, and the road is about 900 meters up through scree and dense forest.
After several long hours of portaging, we exited the gorge, making camp above a small beach, steeling ourselves for the 900-meter hike up to the road the following morning.
Should have done that with the cap off.
So it's just started heavy thundering and raining, and luckily we managed to get some food cooked before it all set in properly. So we're all camped out near the tarp, waiting for it to pass over.
So we chose to walk out from all the way down there. At this point we were all severely dehydrated and shattered, but thankfully we came across this really kind family which lived halfway down the mountain, and they fed us, they gave us water, and then we hired their donkey which carried a lot of our equipment while we carried our boats on our backs all the way to the top of the hill.
Saca con cana ni kuchima fácil escuchar. Está diciendo como está morro todavía. ¿Cuántos años tiene cada uno?
Having finished the rivers we had planned to the northwest, we headed back to Antigua for a few days of recovery.
Osh has decided meat is too much for him, and he's found a stock of avocados. So these guys are trying and failing to put a rope in a tree to hoist Osh and his many carabiners up to harvest the avocado. Yeah.
Go on, Brian, you give us a tune. Oh yeah.
Haircuts sorted and preparations finished, we headed to the Chisay for a quick warm-up before our next multi-day. Now back in the groove, it was time for the Capon, the gem of Mayan whitewater.
The one river that has received some attention is the Rio Catarina for explorers. The first descent was in 2006, and I was on it, but it was arranged and led by Roberto Rodas, a raft guide here in Guatemala, and they brought a group of clients down from the States looking for something special to do, and they found it. They found it in the Rio Catarina. It was really, really nice expedition. The river turned out to be, I think, the prettiest in Guatemala. That area turned out later to become more sensitive politically because there were mining projects and hydroelectric projects proposed for that area. And the locals were kind of upset about it and started not letting people in. Despite that, another group, led by an American, Paul Hiesecker, tried to go back in there in 2012 as part of a documentary about Guatemalan rivers. And it ended up being kind of held by the communities who were thinking that maybe they were involved in a mining project, and deliberated what to do with them, kind of held them captive for a while. If kayakers have other options, other entrances to that river, and we can still do it, and we have now better contacts with communities on that river that trust us. So hopefully this group, the BUKE group, will be able to do this river.
Let's look. And look how beautiful this is. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Oh, gnarly rapids. Classic jungle chos. Look at this if I zoom in. And those mountains, the Chuchumatanes. we were paddling down the Azul, which was a 2-day multi-day in which we set off right in the middle of the Mountainous, which was 2 days of back-to-back grade 4-5 in cliffed-in jungled canyons. So it was pretty intense going, and eventually on the second day, about mid-afternoon, we paddled out to these mountain ranges and it opened up, and you could feel the relief that we'd survived the experience. So we just stopped quickly for a lunch break, but then we all got attacked by a hive of bees. So I think I've counted something like at least 20 bites on myself now, and the only way we got out was the locals, which now we've got into potentially a bit of trouble with the locals.
Su identificación y después de ahí nos puede explicar quién, o sea, qué les mandó o a una institución o a organizaciones.
Later that day, the rain started and we made camp, with only a few kilometers of flat water left. Unfortunately, we had been spotted by villagers further downstream, and when the rain cleared, we were approached by a large group of them.
No hay información, no hay coordinación. Va, entonces, y luego pues nos informaron. Entonces, ¿qué se hizo? Como autoridades tuvimos que bajar hasta abajo para ver si...
At this point, they start explaining to Greg that they were indigenous to the area, the river meant a lot to them, and that we just weren't allowed to be there. They were really quite annoyed they hadn't been informed, which was mostly the fault of a contact in a previous village who turned out to be a little too drunk to actually inform anyone we were coming and get us the correct permissions.
They don't want us here then?
They don't want us here at all, actually. They're going to require us to pack up everything, go to their village there, and more than likely leave by car.
Currently, we've been ousted from our campsite by the local villagers who are a bit upset that we're camping on their land, and they have insisted that we vacate the premises and that we get out as soon as possible.
Although, to be fair, not us carrying our boats, so...
They seem to be enjoying this a lot more than we would if we had to carry.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's a novelty.
I agree.
We got to the top of the hill to a proper field where they met us with about 3 or 4 pickups, one of which they loaded all of our kayaks onto, and we were then put onto another truck with the elders, given the VIP treatment.
These lads know what they're doing. They are strapping these down better than most raft guides.
Yeah, it's great.
Good going. Here we go.
Bye. hopefully we'll see you again.
Kayaks.
This evening around this time we were approached by around 30 local men.
They come down, they interrogate us a little bit. We need to completely decamp and follow them up the hill to their community.
From there, when we walked into the town hall, there was about 300 of the local residents sitting there waiting for us.
It's a nice big stage that they prompt us up into. All 7 of us sit in a semicircle,
and from this point we were interrogated for about 2 hours
by the chief elders while the whole community washed on. The language changed from the local dialect of Mayan to Spanish, of which none of us could understand. And after a while of this going back and forward between the elders and the community, they couldn't come to an agreement. And so we were left here for the evening
and agreed that tomorrow morning we're going to have some meetings with some people from some of the other villages as well to see what our fate is. It's looking like we'll come out alive, but I don't think we're going to be able to kayak tomorrow. I think we're driving out from here, so here ends our Rio Catarina experience, but what an experience it's been.
With our expedition coming to an end, there was time for one more river on the way back to El Salvador, so we rushed to the Motagua.
Sweet. Yeah, so we're here at the halfway down the upper Motagua. I think it's quite a lot of water, so we're about to get the highest descent of the lower section of the upper. It's going to be about 14k of paddling. I'm thinking it's going to take about 5 to 6 hours. But this river sits on the main fault line of Guatemala. Out here, this river changes every time there's an earthquake, which is pretty frequent.
Six students, 6 weeks, and 15 sections paddled. We battled heat, illness, and isolation, navigating uncharted whitewater with machetes, donkeys, and drone scouting. But more than the rapids paddled, we found community, strangers who showed us the path and offered their help. This is what BUKE is about: exploration, overcoming challenges together, and connection, one river at a time.